Welcome to the channel, Laid Way back here, and today we're going to be going over how to open up our opponents with 2B. Now originally, I was going to do a guide on the new things that 2B can do, but the two kind of go hand in hand, and this format will help you become a better 2B player. The inspiration behind me making this video was somebody asked me questions about 2B, and they couldn't seem to get around the down back. Now, people who know the 2B matchup know it's like their safest option is just to hold down back, and it's hard for 2B to kind of get around that. And that's what I'm going to be focusing on in this video. Some of you may be wondering, why not go for a grab? Well, I've tried that strategy myself, as I do play in tournaments a lot, and what people tend to do to me when I'm playing 2B is not actually tech the grab with an actual grab to do the full grab tech. Though you hit an L or a crouching L to break out of my grab, because essentially what happens after that is I'll have to hit the 5 M's or 2 M's or something, and then essentially I'll be giving away my turn again, because pretty much everything 2B does is pretty negative. Now the light is the only thing that's positive, but I'll have to run up to do that, and this is the opportunity they'll wait to see if I'm going to run in, and then they'll hit me on my way in to take back my turn or put back on pressure again. So a lot of times I'm kind of forced to throw out the mediums, but they can just down back, and the only way to keep my turn after that is to use the skill gauge. But if I keep doing that, eventually I'll run out. So yeah, we're gonna get into it. And we're gonna go around how we can get around this down back strategy. The first one I'm gonna show you. First technique to open up your opponent. It's very simple, very easy to do. So I like to do this after a knockdown. Do a light, and then walk up, and then backdash. Now, I know that when the people who know the 2B matchup tend to hit a light when they think they're gonna get grabbed, but for some reason, in this scenario, this is the scenario that works for me the most. People tend to tech with the throw because it's technically would be a tick throw scenario. So people tend to tech the grab to not eat the damage, and I find the most success with this one. Now it's not gonna work every time, obviously, but I find it very effective. Just a light, walk up, backdash. Simple as that. Next one is gonna be the run up backdash. Something everybody can do, but this is gonna depend on your opponent. You gotta know how your opponent deals with throws. This is something important to establish with 2B early on. Some people will always tech the throw with a light, and then they refuse to grab tech. So if they're that kind of person, this will never work. This will never work on them, because they'll always do a 2L. So if we have said you to do a 2L here, if I try to backdash, I could potentially get hit right there. So I try to run a backdash, and boom, I get hit, and I essentially lose my turn. So if they've shown that they won't try to stop the grab with an actual grab, then don't go for this. But it is very important to figure out what kind of player that you're up against, so you know what kind of what you have to do to open your opponent up. Because if they're just gonna do a crouch L every single time, no matter what, they will never take a throw. Then don't ever do this, because you'll lose every single time. So let's say our opponent, let's say that we've established that they are going to use an attack to get out of every single one of our grab attempts, right? So what we're gonna do now, since we can't go for grabs, is we're gonna go for rockets. Now, why rockets, you say? Because this change, this is new to 2B. You see how long they float in the air when you get a counter hit on rockets? Well, you can get some pretty big combos out of it, because you can go right into heavy afterwards. Now, the timing can be a little iffy, and you probably have to learn your opponent's timing as well, but you want to slide into it and get as close as you possibly can. If you're right up on them when you do it, you're easily gonna get hit by a grab or an attack, So if you're like right next to them, so you want to be like right around this area as you get into there, and just so like when you slide with the rockets, you want to slide like right into them. So here, I'll show you the combos that we can do from this. So, you know, we have our basics right here. It's gonna depend on how much skill gauge you got. If you got full skill gauge, let them fly out a little bit before you do your first heavy, right? Let them fly out just a little bit. And then if you do it right, you can get a hammer, do the combo all over again. And that's 6380 right there. That's a lot of damage. Let's say you don't have enough meter to do that. You always use grappling hook. And if you get in the corner, this works fine as well. And you don't have to use any more skill gauge. So yeah, those are the combos you can do just by hitting rockets. This is one of my new favorite ways of opening your opponent up, because it'll beat the grab tech, it'll beat the attack tech. So if they're trying to do that as soon as you get close, then like that's gonna be a counter hit every time. The only issue is a 13 frame startup, so you have to find the timing. You have to find the timing and make sure you find the timing. And like it's not gonna work every time, and then you're gonna be wasting 5 skill points. Well, points from your skill gauge. I don't know how to say it, however you want to say that. But yeah, I find it's a very effective way of opening your opponent up. And when they start seeing that you can do stuff like that to them, they might want to block more, and that's when you can get your grabs. So what our opponents have that our character 2B doesn't have is they can do auto combos into low or high, and more importantly, they can fish for counter hits. So they can like kind of fake you out, make it look like they're going for a grab or something, throw in some lights and then run up and wait a bit and hit that heavy. You know you've been in that situation. You've got that situation with other characters, but it always felt bad that you couldn't do it with 2B, right? Well, until now, what we do to fish out a counter hit with 2B is we want to get the spacing just right. You need to have like the right spacing, so it looks like you command dash into a grab. What you do now, since we have sliding normals down when we do a command dash, is go into a heavy like so. So effectively, you might want to show that you're willing to do a command dash into a grab, maybe get that idea in their head, which can potentially make this work better. And also, you want to find the right kind of block string to give you that perfect distance. The perfect distance is like right around here, because you could dash right into the heavy and you'll get like right into within grab range. So you want to be in that range where if you do command grab and do a grab afterwards, that it'll whiff. So you know you just have enough room to get a heavy there. One thing I like to do to gauge the distance that I need to fish properly for that counter hit is like if I hit the crouching medium like right at the maximum distance. Right here, if we do that, we're in the perfect distance to do a command dash into a heavy. So if we hit right at the tip, command dash heavy, that's like the perfect spot. That is the sweet spot to fish for that counter hit. And like it was all, when I came up with this, it was like all theory at first, and I had to like try it in matches, and I was surprised to see how consistently it works. Because you're like, it could be a grab or it could just be this heavy, and you slide right into it, kind of just like the rockets, right? You slide right into it. This being 14 frames, you have to space it out right, because if you're too close, you're gonna get grabbed or you're just gonna get attacked there. If you're even in this distance, that could happen too, or they'll just end up blocking it. But if you're at that perfect distance, bam, man, that's gonna be a counter hit most of the time, especially if your opponent is pressing on you. Next, let's talk about Volt. Now, Volt, I would say is my least favorite option, but you can get a grab and it'll go off automatically, and then you can do your combos after that. And also you can run up and just do it right in their face. So if they're trying to press a button or go or take your grab, you can just kind of hit that. Although I find that for some reason it just doesn't really work that often for me. People seem to be ready for it, and they'll just wait for the grab animation to start and just kind of tech it with an attack. So I don't really go for it offensively like that, but I do like the move defensively. So let's say we activate Volt and we have G to do a block string here. Right? That's our block string. We can just be mashing it, and as we get hit, the Volt will still go off, and then we can attack them afterwards. So if I feel like I'm gonna be in a defensive position, or I'll just kind of like bait my opponent, just do something against me, just go ahead and attack me, and then I'll just be spamming it afterwards. I mean, and then, you know, it's not gonna work every time, but I find that's the most effective way to use it, using it defensively. That's how I like to use Volt. I mean, like obviously you can get the grab, or you can run up and do it, but I just don't find that much success. And like, if I'm gonna be using 5, like pretty much half of my skill gauge, I want to make sure it's something that works, and I think it works best defensively. Now, another cool thing that we can do with 2B is use of her wire. This move right here. So what I like to do, get in on the opponent, bunch of 5Ms here. Just do them over and over again. Maybe move a little bit and try it again. But we want to condition our opponent. We want to condition him to think that, hey, he's gonna keep doing that and weaving it in and out. You know, this down back is not gonna work forever. I don't want to just sit here. And eventually they're gonna want to press on you or do something, right? Because it is -8. So we have Jita do a standing medium. That's a punish. There's nothing we can do there. We just get hit. Even if we do 2, even if we do 1, that's gonna be a counter hit every time. So what we do is we finish with wire. Why? Because we get this is a change to 2B, that they kind of float there during the counter hit. And then we get heavies. And if, let's say we got that in the corner, all that damage just for 3 skill bars. So yeah, you want to weave it out. You don't want to be too obvious about it. And honestly, most of the time your opponent's gonna block that. So yeah, you know, be wary about it. You know, it's all about the conditioning. I'm sure you've noticed a pattern here. It's really about finding out how your opponent is gonna react to you running close to them, and also like pretty much conditioning them. Now here's another cool thing that you can get with wire. Now if you're in the, this is not gonna be the easiest thing to do. It's pretty hard and it can feel a little bit inconsistent, but if you practice it a lot, I'm sure you can get it. But it's a very specific situation. You want to be around this area, right around the beginning area. You can be even a little further back, but you want to be right around starting position, because if you get wire, and you might not be able to get the heavies afterwards, right, if you got the counter hit. So what you can do is shoot a U-beam and then grappling hook afterwards, and that's a nice little range combo there. Now let's say you're full screen. What you can do is you can hit the wire, and you can shoot multiple beams here. I promise you can. Okay, let's start over. And you get up to 3 beams. So if you were to get a counter hit from full screen or anywhere on the screen, then you can shoot off 3 U beams, and yeah, that'll be a great way to close out a fight. You know, if they are in that health range. And one way I do, let's see, let me see where we're counter hit. We got standing light on, so we have her doing standing light afterwards. What I'd like to do a lot in match is I just shoot these out, these free 2B projectiles, just throw them out. You can do it with light too if you wanted. The timing's a little different, but I throw this out a lot during matches. And if you shoot the beam right afterwards, that's a counter hit. Because if you look here, you are plus 19. So any action they take, they will get hit by the wire. So you do immediately afterwards, triple beam, boom. Great way to close out the match. So with what we just learned with our beam and our grappling hook, it's something we could also do with our heavy counter hits. Since we just went over how we could get them, what we can do is do a baseball bat swing. Since, you know, they're stuck in the counter animation for so long, we can actually do that mid-screen. And what we can do, 2 U beams into grappling hook into combo, which is 6720. So that's some pretty good damage. It's pretty decent damage. Or let's say we got that in the corner, We just bounce him off. This is the best I could come up with. You know, especially, you know, if you got super. That's the best I could come up with. I'm sure you could probably find something better. Other than just doing like the regular corner combo, since you can't just bounce them off the wall. But yeah, that's the best I could come up with that. And lastly, this is probably the best thing that 2B got during the patch. The little sliding normals that she can do. I like to do a lot of sliding 2Ls. I think that's one of the better options. So if your opponent is like backing up or something like that, you could like catch them out. And a lot of times people will try to hit a button before the second kick, or maybe they're trying to do a DP or something. You can't DP through that, so you will a lot of times get a surprise hit there. And then with 2B, if you get the hit, you obviously can just convert it into the lights. So if you get 2, so then you go into the auto combo there. So yeah, and the thing about this is you don't always have to do the 2L. You can always just go do a grab or do the heavy like we've been over before. So you know, you'll be able to keep your opponent guessing, and it's a very effective way of opening your opponent up here. So overall with 2B, from what we've talked about, our options can be a little dangerous since a lot of them are running up to our opponent and doing something. And not only are they dangerous, but they can be pretty expensive on the skill gauge. And even like another way that's pretty alright way of opening somebody up is like going for like a 2M and just kind of go for the dash Ls too. And you know, that's gonna use skill gauge, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do to open your opponent up. So yeah, dangerous, costly. So a lot of times if your skill gauge is down, since you are going to be using it a lot to open your opponent up, what you can do is just kind of hang back and like hopefully your opponent makes a mistake. And if they're playing kind of carefully, then you know your skill gauge is just gonna come back up. And one way, I've talked about this in my previous 2B guide, but try to check people with 2M. If they're running at you, just use 2M, because if they jump, there's enough time to anti-air, and if they just keep going, they'll just get hit by the 2M or block it or whatever it is that happens. So yeah, the overall is gonna be dangerous, but there's plenty of different ways to do it. You don't want to stick to one thing too much. Like you could use this, or use the rockets, or the dash Ls. You know, we have options here. We have options. So yeah. And that is my guide to opening up your opponent with 2B. Now, if this video has helped you in any way, please leave a like so we can reach other 2B players. And also subscribe if you love 2B. Or if you hate 2B. There seems to be a lot of that going around. So thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time.